What's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so pumped for today's video. I feel like I should have done this video so long ago, and the idea came to me like last week, and I was kind of like, why have I never done this before? I feel like it needs to be said. I'm going to be rating the biggest music festivals in the US, at least the top. I think I have 5 today, at least from what I've been to. Some of the biggest, some of the most talked about, some of the most overrated. I'm going to rate them all. I'm going to spill the tea for you. I'm also going to tell you the good and bad and the cost on average of all of these different festivals that I've been to. Also, before I get into this, I really hope this doesn't offend anybody. I've gone and had a great time at every single one of these festivals. None of them were a horrible time by any means. There's just good and bad things about every music festival. So you can make any music festival an amazing time. You can also make any music festival a horrible time. It just all depends on your attitude about the situation. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. The first festival I've got to talk about, of course, is Coachella, because it's going on right now. It is literally, do you guys feel like when it's Coachella season, the only word that you hear or see on Instagram is Coachella for like 3 weeks, and then it's just like gone for the entire rest of the year. This festival I have been to 4 times. I've actually camped 1 year, and the other 3 years I stayed in a hotel and took the shuttle, which is what most people do. Coachella, you can camp, but most people don't. I would say like 95% of people do not camp at the festival, so it's more of a go in and go out everyday type of a festival. I'll start off with the good things about Coachella, and because there's honestly a lot of negatives. I actually watched a video yesterday from Nikki Demar, I think that's how you say her last name, from Nikki. She uploaded like a video basically about why we all hate Coachella but why we still go, and most of her points in that video I thought were funny and I agreed with, so I'll link that down below if you guys haven't seen that, because I thought that was pretty relatable. I didn't agree with how she said she didn't think the lineup and the music was that good, because that's actually what I think made me go to Coachella so many years, because I think since they do have all the money and the big names and everything, they can get incredible headliners, and they can get people that really don't perform at a lot of festivals. For example, Ariana Grande, I've been to so many festivals, I have never seen her perform, and they booked her for a headliner. Also Childish Gambino, I've never ever gotten the opportunity to see him at a festival. I've never even seen him on a lineup of a festival that I've been to. In my opinion, they really do have an incredible lineup every year. It is I think it's pretty diverse. Obviously some people will say it's not as rock oriented as it used to be, and it's obviously a lot more hip hop and EDM now, but I think if you look at the lineup, there are still some great underground names every single year. So that's the biggest plus about Coachella. Honestly, besides the lineup and great names and great music, that is one of the only good things that I can think about this festival. Not to say that it's not a good time. Once again, not to say that it's not a good time, but there are so many problems with Coachella. The biggest one I would say is how insanely overpriced it is. A lot of people that go get VIP, I've never done VIP, I've always done GA, and it is so hard to even find a GA ticket for $400, which is the face value cost of the ticket. I know every year I've gone, I've had to pay extra, find my ticket on StubHub, because it's so hard to even get a ticket unless you buy it like 2 weeks before when people are selling them for cheaper on StubHub. So I don't think the ticket is the most overpriced thing, but just everything to go to Coachella, like the hotel where you stay. I mean, I remember I had one hotel room with a bunch of friends that I split a few years back, and the total of that hotel room was about $2,000 just for 4 nights, just for Thursday through Sunday nights for the weekend, not to add in the shuttle cost or the Ubers if you're gonna Uber, because you're obviously probably going to be drinking at the festival, and then not to mention the alcohol and all the outfits and supplies that you're gonna buy to go. Now you could say that this could happen for any music festival you go to, not just Coachella, but I am telling you guys, I have gone to so many camping festivals, non-camping festivals, city festivals, and this is by far the most overpriced and expensive music festival I have ever been to. Not to mention, if you get a shot of alcohol in the Rose Garden, a single shot, it's $20. At least it was last year. I'm not sure if they've changed it this year. $20, and then you have, if you buy a shot instead of a mixed drink, you have to buy a mixer to drink with the shot, which is about an extra, I think, $4 or $5. So one shot with a mixer at Coachella is $25. And you have to drink it in the Rose Garden. They don't let you leave the alcohol area to go out to the main stages with your drink. You have to drink in the Rose Garden, and you can't bring your alcohol into the crowd unless you are able to sneak it in, which the security at Coachella is insane. It's pretty hard in my experience to sneak in alcohol to the festival. So I would say that if you do want the Coachella experience, definitely have it at least one time. It honestly is a fun festival. You're gonna get to see a bunch of great music. It's a really good first music festival, I would say, but know that you are going to be paying a lot of money. You're gonna be walking a lot. The Uber situation at the end of the night is insane. It takes like 1 to 2 hours to find an Uber every night after the festival and get home. Let's get to my rating of Coachella. Like I said, I have had a really good time in the past, but it is definitely one of my least favorite festivals if I compare it to the great experiences I have had, which I will talk about. I'm gonna give Coachella a 5 out of 10 just because there's so many logistics that go into it that I think could be better. Now, let's move on to talking about another big festival that is honestly worlds different than Coachella, but still a awesome time, and that is Bonnaroo. Bonnaroo is one of the biggest camping festivals in the United States. At least probably, like, it's been known as one of the biggest. I've been to Bonnaroo 3 times. Actually stopped going after 2016 because I went to Bonnaroo and Electric Forest both in the month of June that year, and I just honestly personally think that Electric Forest is so much better. Not so much better, but I prefer it. So if I'm gonna go to one camping festival in June, I would honestly much rather go to Electric Forest, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. Bonnaroo honestly is a great introduction to camping festivals if you've never done a camping festival and you want that experience. It was my first camping festival that I ever did, and like I had never even camped in my life before I went to Bonnaroo 2014, and I had the greatest time with my sister. It was so much fun, and that's what got me hooked on going to camping festivals is Bonnaroo. So I would say it's definitely a really good introduction to camping festivals. I think Bonnaroo has a consistently great diverse lineup every year. The festival is also 4 days, so for the ticket price you're gonna get 4 days as opposed to most festivals do 3 days. So you're going to actually get a little bit more for your money, which is amazing, and an extra day to camp and just like have a great time. So I think that's really good, and I also do think they have an incredible, very diverse lineup every year with rock and EDM, indie music, and just like so much good stuff. I really do think they do a great job with the lineup. And another thing I have noticed about Bonnaroo is the people and the love and the unity of that festival is unmatched. I will honestly say everybody high fives in line on the way in. Like everybody says happy Roo and like high fives you, and that is one of Forest. It's like that way as well, but I would say that is one of the most amazing parts of Bonnaroo is the people that you'll meet are so kind. I would definitely say that's one of like the biggest differences you're gonna get from something like Coachella to Bonnaroo. Is just like the unity and the connection that you will feel to all the people around you at a camping festival such as Bonnaroo. That is just like the best feeling. What I will say about the negatives about Bonnaroo is that this is something that you honestly cannot control at all, but the festival is held in Tennessee in the middle of summer, and it is insanely hot. I mean, Coachella is insanely hot as well, and I understand most festivals are hot, most festivals are in the summertime, but I would say the heat at Bonnaroo is actually probably one of the biggest things that kept me from going back. Honestly, if I'm camping for 4 days or even 5 nights sometimes, it is so hard to camp somewhere that it is 100 degrees every day, and even obviously you can bring a canopy, fans, shade, all the things. It's pretty hard to find shade at Bonnaroo, at least in the general admission campgrounds. It is so freaking hot. At night at Bonnaroo, oh, so beautiful, amazing, fun, best times. But during the day, it feels like you're just trying to escape that heat, and it's really hard to find shade because it's on a farm, so there's not much there's really not much trees. One more thing about Bonnaroo that I think they could improve on is the art installations and just the way the festival looks. So if you're gonna go only for the music, definitely Bonnaroo. Incredible lineup, incredible experience and people. But I would say if you want it to look a little bit more cool, a little bit more trippy, Bonnaroo has some good stuff, but honestly nothing insanely incredible that I was wowed out of my mind about. All right, now let's rate Bonnaroo. I am going to say it probably would be a little bit higher if I had been rating this back in the day when I hadn't experienced other camping music festivals, but now that I've experienced so many different ones, I am going to give Bonnaroo a 7.5 out of 10. Again, for a first time camping festival with a great lineup and great people, Bonnaroo is a really good one to pick. All right. Number 3, let's talk about Lollapalooza. Lollapalooza, I didn't actually realize this until I did some research on the festival. It is one of the most attended music festivals in the country. I think around 400 or 500,000 people go every year. That is insane. I'm not sure the numbers for Coachella, but for a city festival, that is crazy. Lollapalooza is actually another 4-day festival. It is not a camping festival and it's in Chicago. You've probably heard about it because it's one of the biggest festivals in the country. I've actually only been 1 year, and that is just because I didn't think anything was different or super cool about this festival enough that I wanted to travel back and do it again. There's nothing that really stands out to me about this festival other than the fact that it is in a beautiful city backdrop. If you do like kind of the downtown city feels, you can stay in a hotel in Chicago and you can go in and go out every day, and it really is a beautiful backdrop of Chicago. But I would say other than that, I really didn't think anything was super special about the festival other than the fact that they do have a really great lineup every year. I think once again, just like Bonnaroo, just like Coachella, they're a huge festival. They're able to get a very diverse, incredible lineup. My experience, I had a few more negatives at this festival than positives. Not to say that I had a bad time. I honestly had a really good time the year that I went. I went in 2015, but I would say just comparing it to other things and comparing it to other city festivals that I have been to, I think it is a little bit overrated, a little bit overhyped, and I would honestly, I don't think I would really recommend it unless you do live in Chicago. It's a great lineup. Obviously, if you live in Chicago, like it's close to you, go. You will have a great time. I honestly, like I said, I had a great time. It just didn't make me want to go back the next year. My main issues with this festival were I felt like it was so insanely overcrowded. I almost felt like they oversold the venue, which isn't even possible. I just think there's, like I said, 400, 500,000 people that go to this thing, and it's in a downtown in a city. It's in like a park, but it just was. I felt like it was insanely crowded. Like the lines for the bathrooms and the lines to even get water were really insane. And another thing I felt about this festival that I'm not trying to like hate, but what I noticed was that the crowd was a lot younger, but also that is not necessarily a good thing at a festival, in my opinion, because with a crowd being 14, 15, 16-year-olds, I felt like there were a lot of young high schoolers that went to this festival, and typically at most music festivals, you're not seeing people under 18 unless they're kids with their parents. You're not really seeing a lot of 15-year-olds, and no shade, 15-year-olds should be able to go to this festival and have a good time, but that just leads to a lot more like crazy underage drinking, kids puking in the crowd, taking a bunch of Molly and like overdosing. I think a kid that was like 14 or 15 died at Lollapalooza last year from an overdose. So I think they should be more strict about not letting kids under 18 go to this thing unless they're like literally with a parent. Honestly, that sounds kind of lame, but it's just, I really feel like the crowd was a lot younger and a lot more immature at this festival. Also, I just was not personally impressed with the art or the festival like installations, the festival production. The music and the stages were cool, and the city backdrop was really nice, and I saw a lot of great artists, but honestly nothing super impressed me about this festival. I would say it's kind of like just an average one to go to, and for that reason I'm going to give Lollapalooza a 4.5 out of 10. That sounds kind of bad, honestly, but like I said, it's just like, it's the only festival that I'm talking to you guys about on this list of 5 that I didn't go back to. Everything else here I've been to either 3 or 4 years. With that being said, let's move on to 2 of my top 2 favorite music festivals in the United States that I've ever been to. The next festival I'm going to talk about is actually a bit of a smaller camping festival, but it is one of my favorites that I've ever been to. You guys have probably heard me talk about it on my Instagram or on my videos, and it is Okeechobee. This is a music festival that happens in Florida in March. It actually didn't happen this year. They took a year off, but I believe that they're coming back next year. I was so freaking sad because I've actually been going since the beginning of this festival, since it started. This festival is also 4 days, which is great because I actually think their ticket prices are pretty fair. I think it's under $400. I think the first year it was around $300, $350, and that's pretty good, I think, for a 4-day music festival where camping is included in your ticket, which it is. I think the camping at Okeechobee is the best camping I've ever found at any music festival. I actually prefer this festival over Bonnaroo, and that's kind of another reason once I found Okeechobee that I didn't return to Bonnaroo. It feels so nice. They have a beach stage, so they have like this lake with a beach and a beach stage, and then they have like, you can literally be in the sand, and then you can go into the grove, which is the area with the main stages, and it's all grassy and you can lie down. And then you can also go into this main area called Chobe Wobe Village, which sounds so weird, but it's just like the Ferris wheel, and there's a lot of like trippy art and cool stuff like that to do that's like separate from the music. Another really cool thing Okeechobee has as far as their like festival production and art installations is they have this tea room, which is, it is so freaking cool. If you've ever been in this tea room at Okeechobee, it is like in all these trees, and there's like a bunch of hammocks hung up on the trees, and there's literally people serving tea and just like playing really like quiet, chill music. And you can kind of go there either in between shows to like de-stress or just take a break, or you can hang out there late at night and just like chill in a hammock or sit on the ground and just like smoke a bowl. It's honestly so chill, the vibes at Okeechobee. That sounds like the vibes are so chill, man, but like honestly, if you've been, you know what I'm talking about. It really is a magical place, and I will seriously go back every single year that they have this festival. Literally the only thing about Okeechobee that I would say is like a negative that's not perfect about it is that you can potentially have a really long walk from your campsite to the venue every day, and also like from your campsite to the main area, which is where you would be able to get like food trucks, all that kind of stuff during the day. If you needed to like wake up and go get breakfast, you didn't have stuff at your campsite, you could potentially be walking like 30 or a little bit more minutes every single time you go from your campsite to the main venue. Once I found the tent only camping, oh, perfection. It's literally right by the freaking main entrance. All right, so my rating of Okeechobee, I thought about this a lot. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because I think there are a few things that could be a little bit better. Obviously, it's still like a starting off festival. They've only had it for 3 years, so there's things they could improve. Obviously, like not having it this year, that made you guys go down a point. But other than that, if this festival comes back and still has the same vibes, I'm telling you guys, you should absolutely go check out this festival. All right, if you're still watching this video, I'm gonna be talking about Electric Forest now, which is my absolute favorite music festival. I know I just talked up Okeechobee so much, but honestly, if I had to choose between them, I would choose Electric Forest. It has been around a little bit longer, and they just know what they're doing a little bit more. You hear Electric Forest and you're like, okay, this is just gonna be electronic music, but honestly, it is not. Yes, primarily this festival was made for electronic music and jam bands. I've actually seen like No Name Gypsy there, who she's more of a like a vocal and like hip-hop artist, and I've actually seen Nako and Medicine for the People, and they're more of like what I would even say like almost folky, like indie music. So you can actually find some underground people there as well that aren't electronic, especially during the day. At night, you're gonna get like a bunch of DJs and music like that. My favorite thing about Electric Forest, if you've been, you totally know what I'm talking about, is they take the production level, like just the art installations and the stages and the actual forest, Electric Forest. There is an actual forest part of this festival that is like, I can't even explain it to you guys. It literally feels like you're in Alice in Wonderland. I can't even explain it unless you've been and you've seen it in real life. It is insanity. The art installations that they do every year are insane. There's so much cool stuff inside the festival besides just the music. The music is one part of this festival, but I would honestly say no matter what the lineup was every year, I would go back to this festival every year. And the reason I do is because of the effort that they put into the art installations. I would say if you ever get the chance to go to Electric Forest, you think you would like it, please go at least once in your life. It is the most incredible people, like the most amazing community. Not only that, the venue is perfection. The venue is so beautiful. There's like a ton of different stages. I would say they have almost like 10 different stages, and they're all so different and so high production. All the stages are beautiful. The only things I would say about this festival, there are a couple cons. I had to think a while about them because I have so much love for this place, but I would say the cons that I've experienced, at least in general admission, are that the line for the main entrance to get into the festival can be very long at times. I've probably waited like an hour just to get in the line to get inside the festival, but that's at like peak time. I feel like everyone kind of goes in at the same time every day, so that I would say could probably be avoided if you did VIP or one of the higher levels of camping, because you get a closer entrance to the venue and it's a lot less crowded. So maybe I'll have to do a VIP in the future, but I've been just in GA every single year and I've honestly had an incredible time. Also, you might, again, with Okeechobee, you might have a really long walk from your campsite. I remember the second year I went to Electric Forest, my campsite was literally the farthest away from the venue of all the campsites, which didn't make any sense because we actually arrived like the night before the festival. So it just kind of depends on where you get put when you roll in with your car. So now I fly to the festival and I go in 10 only camping, which is so much closer to the venue. So much closer. But I was in Camp Blueberry in 2017, and Camp Blueberry, if any of you are familiar, it is literally the farthest away from the festival, so much so that they have a school bus that runs from Camp Blueberry to the main entrance because it's such a long walk. Anyway, still an incredible time even if you're camped really far away from the venue. My rating for Electric Forest, I had to think about this a lot. I thought about giving it a perfect 10 out of 10, but just because of those cons that I did mention to you guys, no festival is absolutely perfect and I feel like there's always room for improvement. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. So that is my final rating. As that is this video, but I hope this was fun to watch or interesting and that you guys got a little bit of information in a fun way about music festivals. If you are interested in going to any of these or you have been, feel free to leave me a comment down below telling me your favorite music festival. I definitely didn't talk about everything I've ever been to in this video because it literally would have been probably about 5 hours long if I talked about every festival I've been to. I hope I can spot you guys at Electric Forest or Outside Lands. I'm going to both of those this summer and I'll probably go to something else as well. So hopefully I'll meet you guys at a festival at some point. Have an amazing day or night whenever you're watching. Peace.
Let me tell you this, the older you do get, the more rules are gonna try to get you to follow. You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.